So there's nothing quite as frustrating as trying to drill two pieces of timber together without the proper support. You can buy or even make one of those squaring type guides, but that still takes clamping and tedious adjustments. So I've made something out of scrap wood for the lazy woodworker to get perfect squares every time without the clamping, without the need to always have a square on hand.
Traditionally, you'll have to do something like this. Grab a square, grab a long clamp, put it over the surface, hope that it doesn't interrupt your drilling by the clamp head, then you'll have some sort of inconsistencies, including the wood twisting and warping. It's rubbish. It's annoying, it's a long process, we can do better. Start with the flat surface. You can use new timber, scrap timber, or even your sausage. Dog, that is.
Please don't use your sausage.
This jig is going to be used strictly for one thickness of timber. In this case, 19mm. For my American friends, that's 3/4 inch. Why not make it adjustable? Well, you can. For the leading piece, it would work. As for the seconds, I'm gonna have to reset this square every time. I'm a village idiot. I want to point and shoot. So no, I won't make it adjustable for the time it takes to make these. Just go and make a few different sizes. One thing you really have to take into consideration is the timber you're using. My board was too wide for my drop saw, so it left a little bit of a mark where I flipped the timber over. Not a problem. Grab a hand plane, give it a few licks. Shouldn't be a problem. You can still see the line here, but you'll have to take my word, it's pretty straight. You can use whatever scrap timber you have laying around as long as it's straight. I have a bunch of this 42mm stuff laying around. For my American friends, that comes to 121/32 or 1.65354333071 inches. I'm not going to get into an argument over imperial versus metric. We're almost halfway there. What I'm going to be using in this case is a few spacers. This is just some cardboard from a screw container. You really need these spacers because you do not want the timber that's going inside this jig to be super tight, and you'll see the mistake I made in a minute. With a couple of very thin spacers, it's not going to affect the accuracy of this jig. It's going to make it a little bit easier to slide that timber in and out. Wasn't really keen on moving this around too much, so I applied these screws after the glue and about 30 minutes to set. Step 2 of making this jig is much the same as step 1. Although this time you need to get it square. You can drill some oversized holes and make those fine adjustments after you've assembled it, but I trust my judgment, maybe a little bit too much in this case, and I made it as square as I can. And looky looky, no spacers. That's going to be an issue further down the track. Remember, try and kill some time while that glue dries. I really don't want to flip this over and start putting in screws now. I might move the timber. Cutting the timber oversized is fine. We're just going to square it up with the drop saw. Also going to cut a 32° or so angle on this. It's a little bit oversized, it doesn't need to be this big. You can also drill a hole somewhere in the center. You can hang it up on a wall. Now I'm going to give this a few licks of paint strictly for video purposes. It's sort of hard to see the contrast between the timber I'm using and the jig. So we're going to give it this ugly teal color by the looks of it. Should be fine. So remember in step 2 where I didn't add the spacers? Well, this was the result. I had to mock up this quick little jig and sand the gap vigorously in and out. These are the spacers I should have added. And all sexual innuendos apart, it actually slides in and out pretty well now. Here's a little test and a couple of examples of how this thing works. This jig is going to be heavily used in my next video, soundproofing this workshop.
So thanks for watching. I'm going to be using a lot of these type of squaring jigs for my vertical panel saw that I'm going to be making. It's going to come out really well simply because I can use all of these things that are behind me on multiple projects, and they're that cheap and that easy to make. I can use multiple different sizes. Drill a little hole. It's always good to have one hang up on your wall. You never know when you're going to need it. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Cheers.